Hi, this is Kevin Patton. Welcome to the first episode preview for the A&P Professor podcast. This is an experiment to see if doing a preview is helpful. You could say it's the preview pilot. Please let me know if it's helpful, or if it's annoying, or a bit of both, just like a regular episode. I don't know unless you let me know. So let's get to it. In episode 30, I remind you about your homework assigned during episode 29, which is to tell at least one other A&P teacher about this podcast. So you still have time to procrastinate on finishing your homework. And I also mentioned a surprise about HAPS, the Human Anatomy and Physiology Society, and its relationship to this podcast. And I picked a couple of topics from the Science News headlines. One is an update on how epigenetic inheritance works, and the other has to do with what happens when our left-handed cells become right-handed cells. Well, okay, not exactly that, but you're going to have to listen to episode 30 to hear what's really going on with that. In my A&P classes, I like to let my students know about new terms ahead of time, breaking down the word parts so that they get used to the language of A&P and don't fumble over the terminology when they're learning new concepts. I know y'alls know this stuff already, but I thought it'd be a good reminder for us to do that with a couple of terms that will come up in episode 30. The first is the word epigenetic. It's made up of the word parts epi, which means upon, gen, which means make or create, but in this case refers to genes, and ik, which means relating to. So epigenetic inheritance is not transmission to offspring strictly by way of the genes, but instead some factor operating upon the genes. Epigenetic upon the genes. The second word is chirality. That's chirality, chirality. The word part chiro means hand. Al, like chiral, al at the end, means relating to, or having the characteristics of. And the ity, ity at the end, refers to a state of being. So chirality could be translated as the state of being like a hand. But in this case, it refers to what some people call handedness, which is whether we prefer to use our left hand or our right hand to perform tasks. Handedness or chirality is the term we use in science to describe the dual mirror image versions we sometimes see in nature, such as with asymmetric molecules that have the same chemical properties but are mirror image versions of one another. The featured segment of episode 30 is the second of two chats I had with Aaron Fried, who explores the use of human body donors, particularly among the Nazi Anatomists in the 20th century. In episode 29, we talked about issues related to using human body donors in anatomy education. In episode 30, Aaron talks about what he's learned about the artwork produced by Nazi anatomists and why it's important to know about that history when teaching anatomy today. By the way, related to the topic of human body donation, I want to mention a book I've been reading, and which I highly recommend. It's called The Silent Teacher, The Gift of Body Donation. It's written by Dr. Claire Smith, who is head of anatomy at Brighton and Sussex Medical School in the United Kingdom. The title of her book incorporates the term silent teacher, which was how we referred to human body donors in episode 29. This term stresses the humanity of the donor and the critical role that donor plays in society. And that's the core message of this book, I think, that critical role of our silent teachers in teaching health professionals. which in turn translates into assisting in the health and wellness of countless millions of us who benefit from healthcare strategies. As I'm reading the book, I was thinking that because I've had family members who became body donors, and both my wife and I have made arrangements to do that ourselves, this would be a great book to help other family members understand our decision and not only accept it, but embrace it. But as I continue to read the book, I'm also thinking this would be great for A&P professors to read too. For those of us who don't do human dissection in our program, it's a good background so that we can accurately explain the process to our students. For those of us who do use human body donors, this book will help us understand the perspectives of the different stakeholders involved so that we can effectively explain what we do with our students, our colleagues, and the community at large. But that gets me to thinking that this book would be great for our students too. It will help prepare students as they get ready to have their first experience with a human body donor. But even students who don't have that opportunity will see how human science works, why human body donors are important, what actually goes on in anatomy, and perhaps even become interested in anatomy as a career, or even becoming a body donor themselves. You probably didn't even know that the A&P Professor Book Club even exists, but it does, and this book is definitely on the recommended list. Check out the links in the show notes or go to the approfessor.org and find Book Club in the menu. Now might be a good time to go back and listen to episode 29 so you're all prepped and primed to get the most out of our discussion in episode 30. Don't forget about the searchable transcripts that are available for each episode, even this preview, through support from the American Association of Anatomists. Find them at anatomy.org. I'll talk to you again soon.